I'm Edie Lush. I'm the executive editor of Hub Culture, and I am delighted to be here in the Hub Culture studio, Davos 2023, and very pleased to have one of our partners here. Thanks so much for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Ling, co-president International Markets at Mastercard, and you are currently usually situated in the tech lodge just behind us, but you've walked down the hill to be with me. I wonder what the theme of Davos, how that feels with you, this idea of cooperation in a fragmented world. How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, well, it does resonate. I think there's a lot of trust deficiency in this increasingly more fragmented world. So I think the big theme for us is how we build the trust. In a payment system, right? You cannot have people do electronic payments if they don't trust the safety and security. So there are multiple pieces. Safety, security is the most important one. And today also, the other thing I want to talk about is consumers don't want to make a trade-off between convenience and safety. They want both.
Absolutely.
So when we think about our solutions and technology, it is all about how you deliver the best user experience that gives you convenience, but also safety and security. The other thing is really in the safety paradigm is about data privacy. And that's like privacy by design. You own your data, you have access to your data, we will not misuse your data. And that actually is something that's really important. One breach, you lose that trust. I think the second thing I want to talk about in this whole trust framework is the whole thing about access. It's like, I have access to clean water, you don't. I have access to financial services, you don't. That's not a fair world. That's not an equitable world. So in all of this, I think this whole equal access is really important. In the financial services sector, I think one segment that we should really think about is small businesses. Oftentimes, they drive innovation for an economy, but oftentimes the one thing that they lack is access to credit. No lending, no working capital. It's very difficult to sustain a business. So one of the things Mastercard does is to really help our customers, banks and lenders, understand how you can lend to small businesses more responsibly and profitably.
So I know that Mastercard has been working on this for a while. I know that financial inclusion is actually at the heart of a lot of what you do. I've interviewed so many of your executives over the years, and I wonder if you can give me a little bit of the bigger picture, because I think there has been some good news, right? I think we've seen people brought into the markets. I'd love to pause on where we are now in 2023, given the upheaval of the last few years, including COVID. How many people have fallen back out? How many people we brought into this idea that people deserve to be part of the financial markets?
It's a great question. I think as an industry, we have made a lot of progress. Specific to Mastercard, we actually set very specific goals. We talked about bringing 500 million excluded people into the financial services sector. We actually hit that. And now we
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're increasing the goal by another 500 million. So
right.
1 billion, 2025.
Okay.
So it's a very lofty goal, but we're actually very confident we're going to get there. And then there's also the small business, 50 million, and also women entrepreneurs, 25 million. So I think it's only when you have specific targets you can achieve these goals. Now, you talked about COVID. I think COVID actually played one role in terms of accelerating digitization. If I'm a small bakery store, in COVID, I had no choice but to go online, to take orders, right, and to do delivery. Without these capabilities, I would go out of business. So I think that became sort of a force function, and now that trend continues. So I think there's more to do. And the one thing that I think we need to still do, and it's a long way to go, is that access to credit, to working capital. So lending is a big one to solve. Interesting.
And where are you seeing the biggest need or desire for these lending ideas? Is it in the lower and middle income countries? Is it actually across the board in richer countries all the way down?
It's a great question, Edie. I think it's actually across the board. They're more prominent in smaller countries in the developing the world. But even in countries like Australia or even in Singapore or in the US, I think it's still a problem. So it's across the board, because typically the key issue about the smaller guys is big banks don't have any data or visibility or insights into their behavior. So the word credit worthiness, I don't know anything about you, therefore I don't know how credit worthy you are.
Yeah.
But there are ways to do it. With digitization, there's so much data. So the question becomes, how do you use data responsibly to do lending at the same time you still safeguard the privacy of the small businesses?
Where are you finding businesses have their biggest barriers? What's the hurdle that they have to jump over in order to accept you into their lives?
Well, I think one thing that's a big barrier, and it's something we're trying to solve, is this interoperability standards, right? Because we live in a global village now.
Yeah.
If one country has one set of standards, but the business actually also export to another country, there's no interoperability. That's not a good world. There's a lot of friction. There's going to be a lot of complexity and cost. So that's probably one big one we need to do. And I think trade, the whole thing about trade and globalization, one of the problems to solve is that.
One thing that our listeners could go and do differently that you'd like them to know?
One thing they can do differently, they should demand data security, privacy, right? The fact that my data is mine, and I think that's a demand that should be placed on all businesses, so we all have to step up to meet that. Because I think today, if you ask me, some of the younger consumers are a little bit too relaxed about their data and privacy. Someday it will come back and bite them, right?
Ling, hi, thank you so much for stopping by the Hub
you.
Culture Studio, and thank you very much to Mastercard for your partnership all through Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.